calculators, all of that ready to go, so that you can do this. All right, let's keep going. Home finance. Make sure your phones are put away, okay? So that you can focus on this. Micah's monthly mortgage payment is $1,100. Annual heating bill is $2,160. Annual property tax, $3,600. Annual income is $6,600. The bank calculated the gross debt service ratio as follows. Okay? State the error made by the bank. Oh, so the bank makes a mistake. What's wrong here in this picture? Right. So you caught it. It's the annual heating bill, and they just threw it in there. Okay? That is wrong. This should have been divided by 12 before you put it in there. Everything has to be monthly. So that is your mistake. So you have to state what the error is. Forgetting to divide the heating bill by 12. You could have also just said forgetting to turn the heating bill into a monthly amount. That is fine. Okay. Determine the correct GDSR. So we're going to just go off of what they have already done. So I'm going to go mortgage payment plus property taxes, and what is 2160? 180, thank you. Divided by 5,500, that's already monthly income. Multiply all of that by 100. That's 1,580 divided by 5,500. It's 28.73%. Okay. Is this good? Would he be approved for the mortgage? Yes, because it's below 32. All right. Another thing, I have mentioned this to you, but what would you do if you go from weekly? How would you turn a weekly income, anything, into monthly? Times 52. Yeah, so number times 52 divided by 12. That's correct. So it's maybe I will get rid of that X there. I'll just say whatever dollar amount times 52 divided by 12. What if it's semi-monthly? Semi-monthly is twice a month. You could just go times 24 divided by 12, or just go times 2. I think I'm going to leave it there. Okay, so remember, I would have this on my study sheet. And what's the maximum mortgage payment that you can actually have, like afford? How would you figure that out? Do you have that formula? It is income times 32.32, I should say, minus heating minus property tax. Sorry about that. So if you want to know how much can this person afford, like the maximum monthly payment that they can afford, you find 32% of income minus the heating minus the property taxes, then you're left with the rest. By the way, it's monthly, so I hope you know that all of these amounts would have to be monthly amounts, right? Because it doesn't work if you don't do that. Okay, keep going. Okay, Wilhelm is purchasing a property valued at $192,000. The land transfer tax is calculated as follows. And here's your land transfer tax, and they have the amounts that we subtract and the percentages that are assigned. Calculate the total land transfer tax due. In this, they just say calculate how much is due in total, so we don't really have to fill this in. So I'm just gonna go my way, okay, my way or the highway. So 30,000, you pay 0 on that. You're left with 162. The next amount is 60,000, take that away. And what do you pay on that? 0.5%, that is what? 0.005, which is 300 bucks. You still have 102,000 left to be taxed, okay? The next amount is 60,000 again. And that's 1%. Just divide everything by 100 if it has a percent symbol, and you shall be successful. $600 for that amount. We subtract, we're still left with 42,000. Now what? I keep on subtracting, right? But can I subtract 50,000 from it? Right? I can't, right? So, Julian, you're talking math, right? So the 50,000, that's what we're in. But we can't subtract because you get a negative. So just take that percentage and apply it to this amount. Okay? So it's 42,000 times 0.015. So it's $630 that you pay for that chunk. If you fill that up completely, it's $750. But we only have 42,000 in that chunk. Add it all up, that's 900 plus 630, that's 1530. That's what they want, circle it, that's the total land, you can't see that, sorry. That's the total land transfer tax due, that's what they want. If it makes you feel better, you write in 630 here, and you write in 1530 there, okay? Sometimes they ask you to fill in the table. I would still say just do this part and then go back and fill in the table, and then you'll be all right. Okay, let's keep going. When purchasing a home, homeowners must consider one-time costs as well as ongoing costs. One time is just once, ongoing, it keeps on going. State whether the following are a one-time or an ongoing. A mortgage payment. Ongoing, right? Hiring movers. One time. Land survey. One time. What about insurance? Ongoing. What about lawyers? Okay, got it. Exactly. What about property taxes? Ongoing. Yeah. Property taxes you pay, unfortunately, it's a huge amount. It's painful to see the bill, so I don't even look at it. It just comes off my account. Okay. Question 4. Josh has recently graduated from college and is looking for a new town. Explain 2 reasons why Josh should rent. Explain 2 reasons why you should rent rather than buying a place. Why should you rent? Lower maintenance. Landlord takes care of it. Of major repairs. You know what? I'm just going off a little bit more because it says explain. I'm pretty sure you would have been fine with this lower maintenance cost, but sometimes they're also not really consistent, right? So I just want to make sure I get my mark there. Why is it easier to relocate? May need to move for a new job. Right, just graduated from college, so hey, you want to be able to move and just, it's like, oh, there's a great opportunity in Toronto, off I go, right? Another reason would be, what's another good advantage of renting that I gave you? Utilities are usually included, right? That's another one. Utilities are usually included. So you pay less there. Okay. All right. Another one is, let me give you one more. Lower startup cost. No need for a large down payment. Okay. Okay. Think we're good? Disadvantages, you don't build equity. You can't renovate without asking for permission. Question 5, Bill Lau purchased a home for $350,000, made a minimum down payment of 5%. He obtained a mortgage at an interest rate of 4% over 25 years. The amortization rate is $5.26 per $1,000 borrowed. That is a table rate, guys. That's the pink sheet that I used to give you. That is the table rate. Calculate the mortgage payment. The payment is going to be price minus down times a number amount over 1,000. Okay, that's in essence how you figure out the payment. We don't know what the down is in dollars, so we're going to figure it out. 0.05 times 350,000 that's 17,500 is your down payment. You probably get a mark for this. It's a 2-mark question. You probably get a mark for the 17,500. Now, the price is 350,000. The payment. I'm calculating it as follows, and then you just put the 526 over 1,000 there. It is a really good idea to do this separately because there's a chance that you're going to need that. So that's 332,000. That's borrowed, right? That's what you're going to borrow from the bank, and they charge you $5.26 for every $1,000 you do borrow. So I'm just going to go ahead and multiply that now. So 5.26 divided by 1,000 times 332,500. That is 1748.95 a month. Okay? Calculate the total interest paid over 25 years. I hope you have that formula. Total interest. If you don't know what TI stands for, call it total interest. Okay? And that calls for the payment times 12 times the number of years, and that you subtract by what you borrowed or what the loan is. So 1748.95 times 12 times, what are we at, 25 years, right? It says right there. Minus, we borrowed 332,500. Still have that payment in my calculator, so I'm just going to go times 12 times 25. Whew, that's a lot of money that you paid the bank. And unfortunately, that is what a lot of us do. So we go minus 332,500. So that is what they charged you on top of what they borrowed you. Okay. That's the finance charge, total interest, their profit, your loss. There you have it. Okay. All right, keep going. Question 6. JI is purchasing a new high efficiency furnace. The two options are as follows. Can I just talk about furnace heating? When it comes to heating in Manitoba, there's electricity. There's, what's the other one? Gas, yeah. Have you heard of geothermal? Geothermal? I just don't want you, geothermal. It's in the notes. Geothermal is when you have just a pump, pumps water deep down underground. Like I'm talking hundreds of feet underground because it's warm down there. So in the winter, it pumps the water down there and then back up into what looks like a furnace. And then there's a fan here that blows the air through it. And you take that heat out of the pipes and then the cycle continues. So geothermal is, it's not really very, it's supposed to be very efficient, but it doesn't work the greatest in Manitoba. And you can only guess why, because it's really cold. But it actually does heating and cooling for you, okay? It does both, but it is very expensive to install. So it takes years for it to pay itself. So that's, you kind of have to think, is it really worth it for us, right? There's also solar, which is technically electricity, but just be mindful. Geothermal, sometimes they might throw that at you. I just don't want you to freak out. That's a way of heating your home, okay? So initial cost for option A, $5,000, and then it costs you $100 to heat it. Option B, $2,000 upfront, costs you $140 to heat, okay? Calculate the difference in cost. The difference is subtract, right? You have to subtract between option A and option B at the end of the 5 years. So you get, let's do option A here. You pay $5,000, and then you pay $100 times 12, right? That's 1 year, and you do that over 5 years. So let's figure out what that is. 5,000 plus, this would be 1,200. That's 6,000? Yeah? I'm just going to go with it. Thank you. So that's $11,000 that you pay for over 5 years if you chose option A. Option B, you start with $2,000 and then you pay $140 every month. So this would be 1 year worth of heating, and that is done over 5 years as well. So that's 2,000. I need help on that one. What is it? 8,400, just this part, right? Okay. So that'll be 10,400. We're not done yet. So now you know how much you spent for each of them. The difference, you're just gonna go 11,000 minus 10,400. So it's $600 difference. That's what they want. Circle it, like especially when there's lots of numbers going on, you either label it clearly or you circle it. Justify. B. Please don't leave those ones blank. If you give me something decent, I'll give you the mark. Justify whether Jai should choose option A or B. There's no right answer. If you say option A, in this case, I'll say it costs less per month to heat your house under that option. A lower monthly payment. Maybe that's something that you like. You like every month for it to, the payment to be lower if possible. Okay. Option B, if you chose option B, it's a lower initial cost. This is kind of like the cell phone plans, right? Sometimes 0 down, and then it's like $10 a month if you return it, but then it's like more if you want to keep it, right? So it's like sometimes you pay it up front, sometimes you pay it later on, sometimes there's a down and then it's less per month. Same idea here. So just look at the scenario here. It doesn't say why is A better than B, it just says which one should he pick, A or B. Just justify and you're fine. Oh, now it comes back. Renting, guys. Insurance is cheaper when you rent. That's the one I wanted to talk about. Like, why should the college student rent? Because insurance is also cheaper. Okay. Costs less to insure because you're only insuring your stuff, not the apartment block, right? The apartment block is insured by the landlord. Probability, let's go. Oh man, if you get this one, enjoy it, guys. State the probability of 43% as a fraction and as a decimal. How would you state that as a fraction? 43 over? Yes. 1 mark. I can't believe it sometimes when I see these. Decimal? 43 divided by 100? Yes. Took you maybe 10 seconds. Let's keep going. So enjoy those, enjoy those. A sports store sells lacrosse sticks. Out of 500, 55 are defective. The manufacturer says that 5 out of 100 is the expected number of defective sticks. State the theoretical probability of a stick being defective. Theoretical. Versus, what's the other one? Experimental. Which one of these two should be picked for theoretical? What are you expecting to happen? Yes. Expected to occur. Okay? That's what we expect. That's 5 out of 100 here. Boom, you're done. And 55 out of 500 is the experimental probability. It's based on what actually happened. Based on events. I'll just call it that one. So sometimes if you're not sure which one is theoretical, maybe figure out which one is experimental. And then the other one is theoretical. Okay, guys? In theory, that should work. That was my joke, guys. You missed it. You missed it. Okay. The probability of winning a computer programming contract is 28%. The contract is worth $12,000, but it costs $2,300 to prepare the contract. So that's your cost to kind of play the game. Calculate the expected value of the contract. Here it is, guys. There's only one way to win. Okay, it doesn't talk about any other contract. There's only the $12,000 you can win. Okay, and the probability is 28%. So you go 0.28 times 12,000 minus, what are you going to subtract? 2,300. That's it. $3,360 minus 2,300. And now you're almost done, right? Dollar sign. You subtract. Can you see that? That's very... barely, right? 23 minus 2,300. That's 1,060. Should place a bid as the expected value is positive. So from the player's perspective, right, or the person wanting that contract, it's a good idea to place the bid because you're expected to win. It's positive. It's either positive or negative. Make sure expected value has positive or negative. Do you have a formula for expected value? I hope so. Okay. So, okay, bottom line, guys, if there is another way to win, if it says like, you get $12,000 and you could also win 5,000, then there should be two of these, like the probability times that money plus probability times that money. But at the very end, guys, you always subtract, just once, you subtract the cost to play. Okay, that has to happen. Okay, question 10. Given the following spinner, what's the probability of the arrow landing on yellow? Let's get our total first. 1, right? Count, check mark, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you've got 8 because it's probability. Please read carefully. Is it probability or is it odds? What is it asking for? Yellow, there's 1, 2 yellows, right? That's it. Don't simplify, just leave it like that. If they asked you as a decimal, obviously you would state it as a decimal. In this case, they don't, leave it. The odds, right? So now it's changing. The odds, so you know your answer has to be like this. And you have to read what follows the odds. What does it say? Against or in favor? In favor. Of what? Of landing on blue. It could be, you know, it's snowing, it's raining, right? Like a car accident, whatever. So blue goes here, and what goes over here? Not blue. Not blue. If it's like this. So how many blues are there? Let's count. There's 3, right? So 3 blues, and that means that there are 5 non-blue sections. And remember, they add up to 8. That's what you want. They add up to the total, okay? What about odds against? What would you say if they said odds against landing on blue? Well, then you go not blue first, blue second, right? Like this order is flipped. Not comes first, then blue. So this will be 5 to 3. This is just an aside. They didn't ask for it, but it's a good review. Keep going. Question 11. During hockey season, 75 out of 400 games went into overtime. State the odds against a game going into overtime. There it is again. Odds. You know it's dot dot, right? Oops. Against. That's important. They actually put that in bold. Overtime. Odds against overtime. If it's against this, then the first number is not going into overtime. The second number is overtime. So what are we going to do with the 75? 75 out of 400 went into overtime. So that means that 75 in this case goes there. And what goes over here? 325, yes, which is, you take the 75 away from your total, which means there's 325 games that didn't go into overtime, 75 that did go into overtime. There you have it. 1 mark. Check. Do both of these add up to 400? Chances are you're right. If they don't add up to 400, you're in trouble. Okay? Then if it's more than 400, then you for sure got it wrong. Let's keep going. Choose the letter that best completes the statement below. Probability compares the number of favorable outcomes, so what you would expect to happen, to the odds, no. Odds against, no. Total number of outcomes. That is what a probability compares the favorable outcomes to the total number, okay? Write this down on your study sheet. Versus odds compares favorable to non-favorable. If you use your own words and you said happening, something happening and something not happening, I would be totally fine with it. Okay? But this would be odds. So they could have rephrased this one saying odds compares the number of favorable outcomes to the, right? In this case, it wouldn't really work. Odds against the event, yeah, maybe. But anyways, you get the idea. Vehicle finance. State two costs of operating a vehicle other than car payments and car insurance. You would say oil change. What replacement?
Battery replacement.
Battery replacement. I like that one, especially in the winter. You need to. Oftentimes, that's going to be your problem, right? If the car doesn't start, dead battery. Yeah. Air filter replacement, tire rotation, you name it. Cabin filter replacement. Lots of the newer cars have a filter that filters the air coming into your car. You should replace that every 6 months or every year. Gas, fueling up, yeah. Fueling up on gas for sure. Windshield wiper, you should change those every year. They get pretty bad. Like you want them to work properly. Izzy wants to buy a new car. The base price is $22,500 before taxes. What does this mean if you read it like that? Does that mean that $22,500 already has taxes in it? Or not? It doesn't. It says before taxes. It doesn't say after taxes. This is how much it is before taxes. She wants the following options worth $24.50 before taxes. All of these things are added, right? State the sticker price of the car. Do you remember the sticker price? I had something sticker. It would be base plus options plus, what did I tell you? Freight plus, what else did I say? Tire tax? Yes. Tire / AC tax. Yes. That's part of the sticker. So in this case, it would be $22,500. I remember this year because I was the only one that taught sticker price. And a lot of teachers, everybody got this wrong. Because they didn't know what that meant. They just left it blank. Okay? That's her sticker price. Do something, guys. Don't leave it blank. Just try something. Chances are, Izzy has a car to trade in worth $12,250. Calculate the total cost after taxes. By the way, guys, what kind of car are we buying? We're buying a brand new car. I skipped that one. I should have mentioned it right off the top. So whether you're buying from a dealer or brand new, you pay 12% tax. So new is the sticker minus trade, and you multiply that by 1.12. In this case, this sticker, we already know what that is. Okay? We multiply this by 1.12. That's 12,700, and that gets taxed 12%. Can I just, you need to know the long method just in case they throw a table at you. Or 12,700 times 0.05, 12,700 times 0.07. So you find the GST and the PST. Oh, what's the PST called now? RC. Man, did you pay attention? Okay, good. Because my kids don't. Clean your room. Not. 6:35. Or a classic. I need you to come off the screen now. Sure, yes, right away. Right away. Thank you. So then the GST, the RST, and the, sorry, no. That's what I get for being distracted. The 12,700, like you would add the 12,700, the GST and the RST separately, and obviously we're expecting to get the same amount. But if you get a table where you have to do these separately, you can't just do the 1.12, you will lose the marks for those cells you're supposed to fill in, okay? If they don't ask separately, just go for this. It's the fastest and easiest way to do that. Okay, keep going. Barry wants to lease a new car. Valued at $23,275 before taxes. There it is again. The payment for the car is $340 per month plus taxes. So I hate how they do the wording. I really do. I have an issue with it. But this doesn't have taxes in it yet. And we're leasing. You should have a leasing section in your study sheet. The payment for the car is $340 plus taxes, which means you need to take the $340 and add taxes to it. They could have just said before taxes as well, right? It would have meant the same thing. But anyways, there's a 4-year lease and there's a down payment of $2,000. So let's do that. Just the yellow book. Let's do that. So leasing, it says total cost for leasing. So total leasing in general, I have the down, no tax, okay? Please have that down payment, if there is one, no taxes. Plus payments, plus mileage. In general, this is what leasing, the total, you find it this way. So let's see what we do have. We have the down payment. The total payments, watch what I'm going to do here. I'm going to take the $340. I'm going to add taxes to it. I'm going to add taxes to it. And this is happening over 48 months. That's right. 4 times 12. So I'm just going to go 48. I hope you're okay with that. 4 years is 48 months. You could go times 12, times 4. That's fine. There's no mileage charge here. So this is basically it. So 2,000 plus, give me 1 second. I like to do this live, like real time, so you know kind of how long things like this take. 20,278.40. That's how much the lease would cost. There's no mileage here that they're talking about. And that's okay, just leave it blank. Okay. B, state the residual value of the car before taxes using a 40% residual rate. That means you just take the price when it was brand new and you just multiply it by 40%, which is 0.4. That's 9,000. 9,310. That's it. What's the other word that I gave you? What's the other one for a lease? Buyout? What does buyout mean? Add taxes to the residual value. Okay, this is just the residual value. Sorry. The residual value is that. Buyout, I'm going to just write it down here just in case. It's residual value times 1.12. Okay? I'm just going to put the formula here just in case. This is the residual value here, just so you understand. Okay? So we find out, they're basically going to say when your lease is over, hey, you owe us this much. You want it or not? Yes, I do. Well, then you need to add taxes. That's what the buyout price is. Okay? Keep going. What are advantages of leasing? You always have a new car. Lower payments, yeah, the payments are generally lower than financing. You always, you have lower maintenance costs. You get to bring it back if you're done. What's a disadvantage or a couple disadvantages? Mileage restrictions. You will pay for extra wear and tear. If you have a dog, don't lease a car. Right? They're gonna make sure you end up paying for it. You can't customize any dents or nicks and wear and tear. They will probably charge you for it. So be careful. And it's always 12% when it's leasing. If there's any taxing, it's 12%. Any repairs, 12%. Okay? Emily brought into a service center in Manitoba for a tune-up. Tune-up is just you make the car run better. And here's everything that we're incurring. 2 wipers at $12, that's 24. 4 liters of oil at $3, that's 4 times 3 is 12. 1 filter, 1 times 2 is 22. 2.5 hours at $110 per hour. That can't be. Oh, I forgot there we go, that's more than $275. So these are my subtotals. So what I will do is, they want it after taxes, okay? So you need to add it up. That's 333 before taxes. 3 marks for this question. They probably gave you 1 mark for getting those numbers, 1 mark for adding everything up, and then 333 times 1.12. If you're ever unsure about taxes, go to the back to the formula sheet. All taxes are there. Like, oh, is parts and labor, like how much is that taxed? Go to that and you will find it. One more thing. I want you to stop double taxing, please. So let's go back to the leasing, for example. This one. Not very often, but it still happens. Students do this beautifully. They get to here and then they're like, oh, it says total cost of leasing. Maybe it said after taxes, so they slap another 1.12 to this. You've already taxed your payment, so don't double tax, okay? Keep going. Zoe's vehicle uses 7.6 liters of fuel for every 100 kilometers driven. The cost of fuel is $1.05 per liter, including taxes, okay? So that means don't worry about it. Calculate the cost of fuel for Zoe to drive 2,000 kilometers. First, you need to figure out liters. This is the only way to figure out the liters for the fuel economy, guys. The only way is to go 7.6 liters for every 100 kilometers. And you're planning on driving 2,000 kilometers. So figure out X number of liters. Cross multiply and divide. You get a mark for this. That's 152 liters on the money. Okay, so 152 liters is what you're going to use. So you can't do the cost straight up, guys. You can't do that. You have to first figure out the liters. You get a mark for that. Now you do the cost. 152 times 1.05. Let's say you got the liters wrong. You got that number off. If you still did this step here, you still get 1 out of 2 marks, right? What's wrong with this answer? 2 things. $sign and 2 decimals because it's dollars. Okay, and circle it. That's your final answer. That is answering this question. That's how much you would have to pay. 18. Choose the letter that best completes the statement below. When purchasing car insurance, third-party liability is the amount you pay for every year Nope. Amount you pay for extra coverage against damage to another person or their property. That is actually it. That is it. One-time lump sum payment? Nope. Amount of insurance claim you must pay when you're at fault for causing an accident? What would this be? Deductible. It's a deductible. Yes. Okay, so B is make sure you write it in here. Don't just circle. Let's keep going. A car is worth $29,000, depreciates 30% in the first year. State the depreciation amount after the first year. No problem. $8,700 are lost the first year. That's your final answer. If the same car depreciates 20% in the second year, state the amount the car depreciated in the second year. So they're kind of mixing up the wording, but they're meaning the same thing. Like, how much are you losing the second year? What would you have to do here? 29,000 minus what is lost the first year. Okay. That's 20,300. That's how much the car is worth at the start of the second year. So in this case, you figure out 20% of that, which is $4,060. Okay, so that's how depreciation works. Every year you take off what is lost, and then you find a percentage of that, what remains. Keep going. You might be able to finish this within one class, who knows? Geometry and trigonometry. The triangle that would require only the sine law to solve is, this is SAS, right? There's no pair, right? What about this one? Side, side, side. That's cosine law, right? What about this one? Got a pair, and this angle allows you to solve for that one. That's probably it. I'm just going to check this one. Can you solve a triple A? You cannot solve a triangle that is, so it's C, okay? You need a pair. You need a pair, that's all. Sometimes you need to do a bit of work. A standard soccer ball is made up of different shapes, including hexagons sewn together to form a ball. State the sum of interior angles of a regular hexagon. Sum. That's this formula right here. It's on your formula sheet. It's n minus 2 times 180 degrees. How many sides does this hexagon have? That's where it hinges on. You need to know that. 6 minus 2 times 180. That's 4 times 180. That's 720 degrees. Paulo has the following piece of material that he's using to make the soccer ball. Watch this. Justify whether the piece of material shown above is a regular polygon. What does regular mean? All angles are equal. All sides are equal. We don't know about the sides here, but what should this angle be? It should be 120. So if you use this formula, this will be part of the justifications, n minus 2 times 180 over n. So check, what should that thing be? And it's 6 minus 2 times 180 over 6. I already know this part right here, the 4 times 180. I know that's 720. Divided by 6 is 120. So now I'm going to make my statement here. It is not, since it has to be 120 degrees. Like, there's no other way. If you equally spread out the 720, it needs to be 120 degrees in every corner. So this is not a regular polygon. (22) A boat is drifted away from shore. Adam and Claire are 500 meters apart on the shore. The angle between the boat and Adam is 38 degrees. Sorry, between the boat, Adam and Claire is 38 degrees. While the angle between the boat, Claire, and Adam is 48 degrees. The diagram always trumps everything else. Okay? Calculate the distance x Adam must swim to reach the boat. So we want this here. What law are we going to use here? Sine law, right? Well, think about it. Side, 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 not even close. Side, angle, side, you need two sides. So it's also not out, right? So let's figure out this angle here. 180, if you have two angles, you actually know them all. (180 minus 48 minus 38). You're left with 94 degrees. That's your pair. So this will be one mark right there. Just figuring out that missing angle. So we're going to go sine of 94 over the side that's across from it. Then we're going to go sine of what? Sine of 38 solves for this side. We need to use sine of 48 over x, right? This one is across from that side. X is equal to cross multiply and divide. So you go 500 times sine of 48 divided by sine of 94. I hope you all still remember how to type things in. 372.48. And we are in meters. Don't forget your units, please. (23) A student is solving a math question involving a 100-meter truss bridge. So it's a 100-meter span. The bridge is made up of 7 equilateral triangles. That's very important. So they're all 60, 60, 60, right? And all sides are the same. All these sides, they all measure the same. Sketch one bridge's triangle and state all side and angle measurements. Come on, guys. I would expect you to get 2 out of 2 on this one. What would the angles be? Yeah, you get 1 mark for that. And what would all sides be? Right, so 100 divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So 100 divided by 4 is 25. So each one of these is 25, which means all sides of this triangle would also be 25. There you go. 2 fairly decent marks. They're not too much work, right, as far as calculations are concerned. The sum of interior triangle angles of a regular polygon is 2160. Calculate, emphasis on that, the number of sides of this polygon. This is what? Do you remember backwards? They want this, they want n. What's the number of sides? So the sum is n minus 2 times 180. You know the sum. You know s. It's 2160. And that leaves you with this. What do you do at this point? There is the easy way or the hard way. The easy way is just divide both sides by 180. You could distribute, but I would not recommend that. 2160 divided by 180, that's 12, and you're left with n minus 2 on that side. So we add 2, n is equal to 14 sides. So that's how you get your 2 marks. If you know that the interior angle is 120, what is the exterior angle of this polygon? Are you paying attention to this one? Interior and exterior angles are always supplementary. So this would be 60 degrees, right? They always add up to 180. So if a question ever throws an interior angle at you and wants you to do this, figure out the exterior angle and then use this formula to figure out the number of sides. It's basically cross multiplying and dividing. All right, let's keep going. We're almost there, guys. An air ambulance is flying from Thompson to Winnipeg. After flying 400 kilometers, the plane is rerouted to Brandon. Calculate the angle of change if the plane is 486 kilometers from Brandon when he needs to change the direction. They want this angle right here. That's your question mark. Let's call that A. What kind of triangle is this? What scenario do we have? Side, side, side. Cosine law. And if it's side, 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 the one you want to use is this one. Cosine of A is B squared plus C squared minus A squared over 2BC. Yes? Reviewing. I like your attitude.
He's here.
He's here, yeah, exactly. All right. My calculator.
I've got a packed study sheet. Look at this.
That looks mean.
That's just 3 units.
All right. Cosine of this angle that we're trying to find. Which one is the most important one to fill in first? Because it's always plus or minus. You want the side that's across from the angle you're interested in, right? So it's always, there's something in trig that there's a relationship between the angle and the side across, right? So that goes up at the back here, you square it, and then you forget about it. That's the one and only time that one shows up. Now we focus on the other two. 400 squared, and this is 486 squared, and then it's 2 times 400 times 486. And then let's crunch that. So if you have a calculator, maybe type that in just so you practice. So the top is negative 336, 540, and the bottom is 2 times 400 times 486, 388, 800. Okay, so what's so special about that? Yeah, you have a negative there, and that means that our angle will ultimately be more than 90. Yes, it will be obtuse. So another step that I add is I divide these two, and I can actually go negative 336, 540 divided by 388, 800, and I get this negative, and it better start with a 0 or else you're in trouble. Right, so I keep that on my calculator, and now to figure out angle A, I go cosine inverse of that. So I go shift cos equals, and I get 149.95 degrees. All right, that's it for trig and geometry. Let's keep going. Okay, let's see here. State the precision. What would this be? From marking to marking. 2 centimeters. That's right. See, from marking to marking, 2 centimeters. If I had done this, what would the precision have been of this ruler now? Now it's down to 1, right? The precision is 1. Okay, because from marking, from 0 to this marking would have to be 1 and then another 1, right? So it's 2 centimeters, yes, but it's from marking to marking. Let's keep going. 27. What's the maximum value? You add, right? The nominal plus the 0.4. So 5.3 plus 0.4, that's 5.7 centimeters. The minimum is 5.3 minus 0.3, because that's what's subtracting up here. So that would just be 5. And then the tolerance is always max minus min. If all else fails, that's for sure how you can find it. So it's 5.7 minus 5. The tolerance is 0.7 centimeters. Don't forget to add your units. There we go. That's it. Next, then as a carpenter needs to measure a piece of wood to 12 inches, she can use a yardstick with no incremental measurements or a tape measure with a 1-inch increment or with 1-inch increments. State which device Jen should use. What would you say?
The yardstick.
But the yardstick has, yeah, I know. A yard is like, it's a meter, right? And there's no marking, so precision is bad. Okay? So we're going to use the tape measure. Smaller precision. That's why increments is the precision, right? Small. So smaller precision. So I choose the tape measure. Use the uncertainty. State the uncertainty of the device you chose in A. Well, it's just 1 inch, right? Is the precision. Uncertainty is just 1 divided by that, so it's 0.5 inches, plus or minus. So remember, precision, uncertainty. To get precision, to turn it into uncertainty, divide by 2. To go from uncertainty to precision, you multiply by 2. Let's keep going. Explain why the concept of tolerance is important when installing closet doors. You wanna, when it's this, you wanna use too large or too small, like either, or when it's temperatures, what happens when it's too cold, what happens when it's too warm. So you want to talk about the extremes, what happens if you surpass it. If the doors are too big, you can't close the doors, right? Or maybe you won't even be able to fit them in the frame. If they are too small, you can just do one of these, okay? I'm just doing bullet, bullet, so it's or. Okay? If they're too small, items will be exposed. Maybe you won't be able to lock it properly, maybe it won't stay shut. You name it, just say what happens when it's either too big or too small. That's basically what tolerance is all about. There was one about medicine one year. If it's too high, then overdose. Too low, not effective enough. So just talk about what happens when you surpass the tolerance, right? A refrigerator has a maximum temperature of this, minimum of that. State the tolerance in this form. Okay. So remember, when it comes to tolerance, right, you should on your study sheet have that essentially you should be able to figure out the max, the min, the tolerance, and the nominal. I want to say something about the nominal shortly. But the max we are flat out given, 37.5. The min we're flat out given. The tolerance we find by just subtracting them, right? So it's 37.5 minus 32.7. You got it? 4.8, right? Yeah, I think it's 4.8. Yeah. Nominal, how do you find the nominal in this case? And I find that this is the year where we complained and then they had to change something. Nominal, we assume halfway, right? Halfway between min and max. That's what we're gonna assume. Because it's not always halfway. So how would you do the nominal here? I'm actually gonna go off on a like arrow here. You gotta go 37.5.
Plus the 2.5 divided by 2.
Yes. So you add them up and you divide it by 2, so you're finding exactly what is in between, what's halfway. You're basically finding the average of these two. $35.1. That's my nominal. Okay, in this case. So now we're ready to state this thing. Okay, so the nominal is 35.1 degrees Fahrenheit. Oh, hold on. I made a mistake, guys. Undo. I forgot to read. This is probably, what does it say? -0. So then this is what they want in there, right? This is my nominal and the lowest at the same time. So I apologize. That's my bad. I think this year they would already have told you that the nominal is halfway in between if they wanted you to do this. But for this example, do not do that. So 32.7, I apologize for that. -0 degrees Fahrenheit, because you can't get any lower, plus whatever your tolerance is, 4.8. Did you guys catch that already before I got to it, or?
Nope.
No? Sorry.
I'm just writing this down, see if I can comprehend it later.
Yeah. So again, I want to say I knew that I had to put my lowest, my minimum in the nominal slot because I don't go any lower than that, but I can go higher. Okay, one more thing here. Tolerance, think of it this way. 32.7, 37.5, that's the min and max. And the tolerance is always the distance between the highest and the lowest, like the wiggle room allowed. Okay? All right, let's keep going. A lemonade bottling company fills 500 ml bottles. Explain why the company should be accurate when measuring the amount of lemonade it puts in each bottle. What would you say?
I said because of the bottle that was built below 500 liters, the customer could be getting scammed.
Yeah, yeah, there we go. I like the scam part. Yeah, if it is filled below 500 mLs, the customers might complain and sue. Yeah, that's right. And if it is filled above, the company might lose money, right?
Let me ask this questions like this, are we allowed to answer them? In the actual room?
Like more than once, like you can expand, you
Like,
mean?
yeah, in the bullet form.
As long as you can do anything you want as long as you don't contradict yourself. If you make a point and then you make another point and it's like, renting, it's easier to relocate, it costs more to insure. It's like, oh, wait a minute, like what? That doesn't jive, then you actually lose marks. Okay. So I would say try to make your point and then leave it, but don't leave it blank. That's the one thing I'm gonna ask you. Statistics. Oh, I was gonna say if you fill it up too much, then the bottles could actually like pop, yeah, or something, exactly, bulge out, or there you go. Mackenzie weighs herself every week for 10 weeks. The following are the weights in pounds. What's the mean to 1 decimal place? That's a very weird thing for the province to do. They want 2 decimals. So 1 decimal is fine. So let's just go. So we would have to add everything up. $12.75 is the sum, and you divide it by 10, so you get 127.5.
I took the wrong example.
See you tomorrow.
Oh, I'll just leave this here.
Sure.
Thank you, bye.
Yeah, bye. So this is in pounds. State the mode. What's the mode here?
130.
Yes. Meters. What's that? What's that? Pounds. There we go. State the median to 1 decimal place. How do you do median? Arrange, then find the 2 middle ones. Okay? So you're gonna have to help me here with the arranging. I'm gonna go from lowest to highest. So 122, cross it off. 124. Cross it off, 125, cross it off, 126, cross it, 128, cross it, 129, cross it, 130, 3 times, yeah. Let me count, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, I've got 10 values. If it's even, you need to find your middle. So either you do the finger move, where you cover any 2 values and you count and make sure there's the same amount on either side. So 4 to the left, 4 to the right. So the median has to be somewhere between these 2. So the median is 128 plus 129 divided by 2. Make sure you add the tops first. We can already tell it's going to be 128.5, right? But I'm going to go through the motions anyways. 128.5 pounds. There we go. So quite a bit of work, in my opinion, for a 1 marker, but here's what it is. Keep going. Ooh. Got this one.
Actually, this one looks weird.
Yeah. So what would you say here?
First, I would do the,
It's stats, right?
yeah, it's stats. I
So-
tried multiplying the 1.2 million times the 84.6.
Okay.
We had a question.
That is
Yeah.
Yeah, and it
So did you do math?
I did math.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Let's do it for now, because you're gonna get some marks if you do it. Even if you get the wrong final, if you just stick with it, then at least you're in the game. So it's a huge number, I know. Just stick with it. 101, 520, and then 3 zeros. I'll do the same thing with the other one. $202,952,400. So you multiply, then we add. So let's add these 2 up, our results, right? That's the second part. So that's 304. This is like the US debt right now. It's probably not even close. It's way bigger than that. Okay. So that's if you're about to do your mean, that is the top number. If you can get that, then you will get at least 1 out of the 2 marks already. Now we have to figure out what we're going to divide by.
I thought combining 84.6 and 65.3, because those are the percentages, but that didn't.
So it's probably been a while, but percentages, if they add up to 100, then we know for sure we divide by 100.
Oh, so if
but-
it's over 100, we divide by the population.
But well, yes or no. So I'm going to do the unit analysis here. Units. This is where it comes down to. what have you been multiplying this whole time? We were population times percentages, right?
Yeah.
Now you need to figure out either you're gonna add this and divide or add this and divide. So what is it asking for? Calculate the percentage of people. That's what they want. They want this. Okay? So what do we need to divide by to cancel out the population?
1.2 million plus.
Right.
108.
Yes, exactly. So we need to figure out the total population here. So that's 4,308,000. So that's what we're going to divide by. And think about it. This number, the percentage, should be somewhere in between these two, right? For this to make sense. And it is. Okay? It shouldn't be higher than 84.6 and it shouldn't be lower than 65.3. So that's another way of doing it. Okay? And if you had added your percentage, Robin, for example, and divided it, your answer would have been like, whoa, like, that's a huge number for percentage. So that's another key for saying, oh, it probably is the other one. So sometimes it's a little bit of trial and error if you're not sure. See which one makes most sense. This one was a tricky one, I'm not gonna lie. It was, that year, a lot of students they didn't quite know what to divide by. But just remember MAD, the first two, then at least you're partly there. In a school, 236 students wrote a test. Jesse scored 60 out of 93 on the test, and 127 students scored lower than him. Emphasis on the lower than him, because that's percentile rank wording, right? State Jesse's percentile rank. Percentile rank is number of folks that scored below you or earn less than you, it doesn't matter, over n times 100. So this right there is B. And where's our n?
Is that 236?
236, that's right. Let's put an n up there. So we would go 127 divided by 236 times 100. And there's two rules of percentile rank that you must not break.
Can't have decimals.
That's right. So you divide, then multiply by 100. This is what you get on the calculator, correct? But you must state a whole number. So I'm going to go 54th, and no percent symbols either. Okay. So he's about middle of the pack, right? Half of the people scored below him, half above, so it's about halfway there. What's Jesse's mark as a percentage? Like his actual mark on the test. That's when you use this one. 60 out of 93. So we're just going to go 60 divided by 93 times 100. So in a sense, you're doing the exact same work, but they mean different things. Okay, so 60 divided by 93 times 100. This is how much you scored on the test, like how many you got right on average. So this one isn't ranking you, it's just saying this is how many you got right on the test. Almost there, guys, almost there.
2 more pages.
I'm surprised they do another mean for you. Anyways. Winnipeg real estate agent has sold 6 houses in the last 5 weeks. And here are the prices. State the mean. Do you notice anything about the prices? Is there an outlier perhaps?
Who bought that house for
Hmm,
87?
87,000 is really low, right?
Yeah.
But then-
1.8 million.
In the 1.8 million, that's really high. So you can tell like, oh, this is probably gonna have to do with outliers, right? Sometimes scanning is worth it. So let's add up the, this is not a weighted mean situation. This is just add everything up. Oops, I got that wrong. 37,000. Okay, there we go. 3,264,000 divided by, I've got 6 houses here. That's right, there we go. We don't need decimals because it's a whole number. There we go. And now it says, state the trimmed mean by removing the highest and the lowest values. So the trimmed mean, it's still the average, but I'm gonna go, maybe it's faster doing it this way. I'm gonna take away, so for my previous sum, I'm just gonna take away the 1.8 million and the 87,000. And now I'm gonna divide it by, instead of 6, I'm gonna divide it by 4. So it's this divided by 4. Oops. Now my average has gone down. It's probably because there were kind of 2 outliers, but the upper value was a little higher from the average, right? It was pulling up. It says here, justify which mean would be a better indicator of the average selling price of a house in Winnipeg. And I would say the trimmed mean. As it omits outliers. Outliers skew the average. Something like that. I think this is the last question coming up next. So trimmed mean affects the average the most. It doesn't affect your median at all because you're removing the same amount from either side. Okay? The following statistics are available on family income for our community. State the percentage of people who earn between 62,000 and 90,000. 62,000 is right here, which correlates to a 25th percentile rank. And 90,000 is right here, which correlates with 85th percentile. And it makes sense, right? If you make a lower income, there's fewer 25th percentile means 25% of families earn less than you. Okay? 85th percentile means 85% families earn less than you, and that puts you at a 90,000. So they want to know people in between. So between here and here, what percentage is in between there? And all you need to do is go 85 minus 25, and that'd be 60% of people are found in between those two incomes. Okay, so over half of incomes are in between those two. That was it.
That's it.
Nope, that's it. So there would be what? There would be 25% between these two, right? If they talked about 70,000 and 80,000, there would be what percentage, right? 25?
Yeah.
There's only 10% between these two. So that's it. That's it. These are actually very popular. They want you to just know what is in between, knowing that this is percentile rank. Okay. That's it, right? Yeah, that's it.
Yay. Why did I have that?